In my 82 years, I've absorbed a lot about my life. However, I have one choice that I truly regret: the decision to move to a nursing facility. In the moment, it was a good idea. My family backed it and assured me that I would receive all the love and care I required. I believed them, however. When I arrived, I discovered that it was not as I thought it would be. Many may be considering this choice to make a decision, you or your family member. Perhaps you think this is the best option, or perhaps you've heard that it's going to simplify your life. Before you decide to take the decision, let me reveal 6 things that I would like that someone would have told me prior to when I made the decision to move in. The truth is that the life of a resident in a nursing residence doesn't only revolve around convenience, it transforms every aspect of your life. Once you're in, you'll find that getting out of it isn't so easy as you thought. Follow me to the end, as certain of the information may be a surprise to you. If you have a friend who is looking into nursing homes, this may be what they're looking for before making a major choice. Now let's get started. Regret 1. Losing my independence. The most shocking thing that happened after I moved to a nursing facility was not the tiny space, the predetermined eating times, or those who were unfamiliar with me. It was the realization I was no longer in control of my life. When I first moved into the apartment, I established my routines. I chose when I would wake up, what time to eat, and what I wanted to spend my days. I was able to run whenever I wanted to, or cook up my own food, and then sit in my chair reading an ebook. In the nursing facility, I soon realized that my hours were not mine anymore. The entire process was scheduled according to a plan which wasn't my own. Breakfast started at a certain timing, even when I wasn't feeling hungry. The lights went out. At the same time, no matter if I was in a good mood or not, if I decided to take the stairs, I could require permission. I'd likely need to wait until someone could help me. Easy decisions, such as eating out or the clothes I would wear, began to feel as if they were privileges rather than basic options. I'll never forget my first week that I was there, getting up in an uneasy bed as I stood in a chair, stretched out, and reached for my book I was studying at home. However, when I walked around and saw the room, I was struck by the realization that this wasn't where I was. The books I had, the most beloved chair, all the things I'd spent my time collecting were taken away. They were replaced by sterile walls, a bed that I chose not to, and a feeling that I could not overcome. I no longer was the sole decision-maker in my life. It was the most difficult thing to realize that once you have given up your freedom and control, regaining it is nearly impossible. The only way to adapt is it's not a problem about what's served for dinner. It's no longer a question whether you are allowed to go on an outing whenever you like. It becomes easier to conform to the system, but when you're there, it becomes difficult to maintain your independence. If you're contemplating an elderly care facility, consider whether you are ready to surrender those little opportunities that give you the freedoms of life. Since once they're gone, they'll leave you much more than you thought that was possible. Regret. 2. Feeling forgotten. One of the most challenging moving into a nursing residence is that you have to accept the fact that the outside world is going without you. At the time of my arrival, I was welcomed by my family, that they'd be visiting frequently. I believed them, and for a while the family did. My daughter visited each week. My grandchildren would visit on weekends. For a while it was as if I was still feeling an emotional connection to my previous family. However, as time passed, visits slowed down. My daughter began calling instead of making the trip. My kids were busy at work and school. The holidays were the most difficult, and everyone vowed they'd show up. However, plans often were changed in the final minute. In the blink of an eye, I found myself being alone in a shared space, while other people look at their doors in hopes that this would be one day that someone would remember them. The problem wasn't that my family abandoned me. life was just getting out of my way. If you're not there daily, it's simple for people to think that it's okay, it's a matter of adjustment, and you're not in need of more care. The truth is that the longer you're living in an assisted living facility and the longer you stay there, it's easier to let people forget the amount of attention you require them. I can remember at home with my cell phone in hand, contemplating whether I should call my son. I did not want to become burdensome, and I was not looking to tell him I was waiting on to see him, but it might not be. Therefore, I put the phone aside and I realized that it was me today, observing the day pass by, waiting for someone to be able to remember me. If you're considering going into a nursing home, consider asking yourself if you're ready for loneliness. Since regardless of how much you think your family members love the person you are, once out from sight, it's a lot simpler than you thought to lose your mind. If you're watching this video and find these tips useful, make a comment in the box below to let me know that you're there. If you're not subscribed already, I'd suggest that you sign up and then ring the alarm so that you don't lose any video. We'll now move on and regret number 3, loss of my conviction. As I entered the nursing facility, I believed I was simply changing the place I resided. I did not realize that I had also changed the reasons I was living. When I lived at home, there were obligations, activities, routines, and an incentive to wake up every early morning. The smallest things like watering my plants and making my own coffee and tidying my home give me a sense of direction. In the nursing home, these daily rituals vanished. Food was prepared for me and cleaning was performed by a different person. As well as the plants, it was not mine to look after no more. In the beginning, I thought to myself that it was nice to unwind, not having any tasks, no more commitments, and just relax. However, after a couple of months, I noticed something was lacking. It felt like the days had been long and I had nothing to do other than sit and wait. It was evident in the others in the area. Those who were once filled with energy now spend all day watching, waiting for the day to come around. A man by the name of George, aged 84 and a carpenter for his whole existence. When he was at his house, he would be making repairs or building tiny things in his workshop. However, here there weren't any tools in his garage, no plans, there was nothing to do. I watched him slowly remove his hands, which were strong and skilled, but now laying on the floor. "I feel useless," I heard him say one day, and I understood exactly what he was referring to. If you are able to provide for yourself, and work for the life begins to lose the meaning behind it. As the mind slows, as does the body as well, and you soon begin to feel like an ordinary citizen in a world in which time changes, however, nothing actually alters. If you're thinking about the possibility of a nursing facility, consider what you can do to give the meaning of your life. As soon as you are into a nursing home, it's not so easy as filling your day. It's more about trying to keep hold of those things that make you feel alive. I am resentful of my declining health, speedier than anticipated. Prior to moving to a nursing facility, I was in good shape in my old age. It wasn't like I was running marathons, but I was able to manage my health take walks, as well as cook for myself. There were a few routines that helped me stay active, including grocery shopping, stretches during the day, or doing a walk around the home to strengthen my legs. However, once I moved into my new home, everything was different. It was at first that I was taking the easy way. The meals were delivered to me and I didn't have to sit in the kitchen and cook. If I ever needed help, I just had to press the button and someone would aid. What I wasn't aware of was that the less I took care of for myself, and the more weak I was. I ceased moving my body as often in the beginning, and then my legs were more stiff. I was sitting more often than I had previously at first, and then, before I could even realize it, getting out of an office chair felt like something to do. The muscles that I'd spent many years maintaining were disappearing more quickly than I could have ever imagined. This wasn't only myself. I observed this happen to many others as well. The people who were walking with their feet had to resort to wheelchairs. The people who were once self-sufficient now required help in issues they had never faced previously. The more assistance we were offered, the more felt we needed it. She would take regular strolls around the facilities, insisting she was not going to be slowed down due to a digit. However, after a couple of months, I observed that she was not walking as often. She then began using a walker and then the wheelchair. Then one day she glanced at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." That's precisely how it felt. If you cease using your body, it starts loss of the ability to move it. In a nursing facility that is designed to facilitate things for residents, it's simple to forget that exercise doesn't only concern convenience, it's about survival. If I'd known the speed with which I'd be weak, I'd have tried more to stay active in a healthy way and push myself to the limit regardless of whether I felt at all. If you're contemplating an elderly care facility, consider whether you'll be able to be physically active. Your body will be strong if all the elements are in place to allow us to have a smooth life. Since once you stop the process of getting up, again isn't so easy as you'd think. If you're reading this video and are finding the ideas useful, then please leave a comment below and confirm that you're watching. If you're not subscribed to our channel yet, I suggest that you sign up and then ring the alarm so that you don't miss any of the videos. Thanks for your support. It helps us keep producing quality content that will inform and encourage you. Let's get moving forward. I'm disappointed by my loss of privacy and dignity. One thing I was not thinking about before deciding to move to a nursing facility was the amount of privacy I'd lose. In my home, I enjoyed the privacy of my own. I could shut the bedroom's door, relax in peace if I wanted, or do anything according to my own preferences. However, in a nursing facility, the privacy of residents is something which you're not always able to enjoy. Since the time I first arrived, I was apprehensive that I was being constantly watched. Staff entering and leaving and checking rooms on a regular basis, as well as shared areas where you're often not at all. Simple things such as changing clothes or using the bathroom frequently required help. It's true that they're working. However, it's difficult to be willing to help with items you've been doing on your own whole existence. I can remember the first time having a hard time accepting the fact that I would need to request permission to perform things that I've done without thought. Are you looking to shower? It could be necessary you wait until someone willing to help. Are you in need of a restroom? The call button sometimes will mean waiting longer than you'd prefer. The menu choices are also limited. If you're not happy with what's available for dinner that day, it's a shame. There's also the problem of sharing a room. There aren't many who have their own private bedroom or space, so sharing it that you don't select can be stressful. I was fortunate to have a kindly roommate. However, I've read about stories of others who were not so lucky. Roommates weren't clean, loud, or had mental problems that made sleeping impossible. Whatever you attempt to make the room appear like your own, it's not really the place you call home. It's a difficult one to shed, and I wasn't aware of the amount of my own I'd be able to give up until I was there. In the event that someone calls but doesn't expect to hear a response before entering the room, you're treated like an inpatient rather than an individual, or when your day-to-day schedule is dictated by a plan which you don't design, it changes your life. It makes you feel less of you and becoming one more name on the list. If you're contemplating an elderly care facility, you should consider, are you ready to surrender your privacy and the control you've always enjoyed? Since once you've lost it, there's no way to return it. I am sorry to admit that it is more difficult to get out than you imagine. When I moved into the nursing facility, I thought it would only be temporary. I thought that I'd test it out and see how it went. In the event that I wasn't happy, I was able to leave. However, what I wasn't aware of was how challenging to come out of the situation once it was over. At the beginning, it appears easy. If I did not like it, I'd simply leave and go to home. The home I had left wasn't as good for me anymore. My home was empty, and keeping it maintained by distance became a struggle. My kids were already changing things, selling items they believed I didn't require, and even weighing the possibility of renting the house. As I mentioned, the possibility of returning, they resisted. Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. There was also the matter that physical decline. After a few months in a home that didn't require me the time to cook, clean, or walk for a long distance, and I was not as fit like I once was, my independence was slipping away and making my idea of moving back home more daunting than I could have ever imagined. I didn't feel as certain about my abilities to survive on my own, which caused me to stay. I spoke with other people who have had similar experiences. They thought about going to the nursing facility for a period of time, only to find that getting out wasn't as simple as they had thought. As you age more, the harder it is for you to adjust to your new surroundings. A few people lose their option completely. When their home was sold or their savings were depleted by costs of healthcare, it was impossible to go to return. It's what nobody can tell to you. It's something you're able to change, but for the majority of individuals, it's not. It's like the nursing facility transforms into your entire life. Then, before you are aware, the outdoor existence you had previously experienced begins becoming a blur. If you're thinking about an elderly care facility, think about whether you're aware that when you enter, it might be more difficult than you imagine. As soon as you've settled, there are barriers to departure, be it physical, financial, or emotional, may be more difficult to overcome than you'd like. If you're still viewing this video and are finding the tips useful, leave a comment below and inform me that you're watching. If you're not a subscriber to our channel yet, I suggest that you sign up and then ring the sounder so that you don't miss any of the videos. We rely on your help to continue making great content that informs and motivates the people around you. Last thoughts. Looking back, I'm not bitter about being old, but I am disappointed that nursing homes were my only choice. I went in hoping for comfort, security, peace of mind, and higher quality of living, but what I discovered was an environment that gradually eliminated my autonomy from my privacy, my identity, and my self-esteem. Does this mean that nursing homes are good? Not necessarily. There are some people who really require the kind of attention they give. However, before making this decision, take a moment to think about the things you're sacrificing. Once you've moved in the next place, your life won't be like it was before. If I had the option of doing it over again, I'd have been more determined to remain in my house, researched other options to seek aid without losing my autonomy, and sure that I was truly required to be present prior to making a commitment to move. If you're considering this choice, I'd suggest you'll take time to consider whether it really, what's best for me, or is it just the one that seems most convenient at the moment? The reason is that the lifestyle you're living, currently your schedule and your freedom, as well as your options, are worthy of keeping until you're able. Thanks for coming to us this morning. We'd like to get to know you. Comment below and discuss one thing that you have learned from today and how you intend to apply the information in your own life. Your ideas are very important to us, so don't be afraid to send your thoughts. Commenting on your feedback provides us with an immense amount of motivation and inspiration. If you liked this video and you found it beneficial, then please share, like, and subscribe, and then make sure to share it with your friends. We appreciate your support in making great content that informs and encourages you. Thank you for your time. We look for your participation on the next one.